Welcome back, users. Uh, Users, if you remember, we had done a few videos on ArcoLinux. That is the installation of ArcoLinux using the Arch install helper library, using the Arch Linux installation using Anarchy installer. Okay, so definitely Arch is a very popular distro, and Arch contains the latest packages for all the softwares available in the Linux ecosystem. But it is very difficult because most of the things are terminal based only, and since it is very shiny and latest packages are available, there are many breakages also, and because of this the users are taken off from the Arch Linux distro, and they take refuge in Ubuntu or Debian or some other distros like Elementary and other things. So you require a very steep learning curve to learn and use Arch and be productive on a system with Arch Linux installed. To fill up this gap between the skills and the system, between the user and the system, the skills gap was there. So to shut up this skills gap, one distro called ArcoLinux has come up. It is a fantastic distro. It takes you through the learning phase from where you start with the basic installer, and then then you can upgrade in subsequent installations. You can upgrade to more and more complicated installer, where you can specify each and every package, each and every kernel that you want to install. So it gives you full options to set up your system as you wish. So this is the website of ArcoLinux, https arcolinux.com. So here there is a info about the ArcoLinux. Then there are the different installers like ArcoLinux, then ArcoLinux DB, ArcoLinux ISO, and there is a forum. In second tab there is a learning path that we will go through in this video. Then there are some information available for the BIOS and UEFI booting. Then there is info regarding the pre-installation, installation and post-installation activity that the user has to do when installing ArcoLinux. There are some must-reads and now what. And then in the general section, you have got information regarding the Apple, ButterFS, kernel, keyboards, languages, LightDM. LightDM is a display manager, the login screen, logout screen, manage software, menu, NVIDIA chipsets, printers, shells, sound cards, scripting and system settings. In the design section, there is Compton, Conky, cursors, grub, icons, plank, polybar, Rofi, terminal design, themes, Tint2 and wallpapers. And in application section, there is ArcoLinux apps, audio apps, cleanup apps, cloud editors, file managers, files and games, internet, NeoFetch, Office, Pacman, PAMAC, Samba, video and virtual machines. And in the rescue section, there is help and bug fixes, how to fix the issues. And in the listing section, let us check out. So here the list of available resources given. So for example, in Apple section, how to install ArcoLinux on MacBook Pro 5 and 4. There is second section about ArcoLinux apps. So everything you need to know about ArcoLinux desktop trasher, everything you need to know about ArcoLinux tweak tool. Then there is a section for audio, BIOS and UEFI, ButterFS, cleanup, cloud, Compton, Conky, cursors, editors, file managers, fixes. So it is very detailed. I have not seen such a detailed website anywhere. It is fully dense of data, the data density in this web pages is very high. So once you start on your journey with the ArcoLinux, first you have to go through this website, otherwise you will be get lost. So better to first read everything, at least the basics, and then you start with the basic installer, which does a default installation of ArcoLinux, and then you discover the ArcoLinux. Then after maybe say 15 days or 1 month, you can reinstall your ArcoLinux installation using some advanced installer, so which gives you more choice to install as per your wishes. So you can choose between the packages, kernels and applications that you want to install, and that those applications you don't want to install. Okay, now let us go back. So if you go start here and click on learning path, you will come across this web page. So you have to follow the learning path web page till you become master of ArcoLinux. So let us go through this web page. So first we recommend you to do a lot of clean installs. Put your data online on online services, or put them on a USB or hard disk. So you have to put your data or online services like Dropbox or your Google Drive, either, or you can put it on your hard disk. So you might have a backup disk, so you can put all your data on the backup disk. So if any issue happens, your data is not lost. You will break your system starting to learn about Linux, and that is normal. 15 minutes later you will be back on a newly installed system. So the installer is fast, and you can reinstall your system in 15 minutes. This is the claim of the developers. So in real time it is not 15 minutes, but yes, it is not very difficult, and it takes around, I can say 20 minutes to half an hour. That everything depends on the data bandwidth that you have, and how much near is the repo mirror to your location. So that everything depends on that, because most of the things are automated only. So only the download section, download time will vary from installation to installation, person to person. This can be an approach to cover the abundance of information provided on our websites, our forum and YouTube. So yes, I think they have got around 2000 videos are there on ArcoLinux on YouTube. So better is to search for ArcoLinux and go through the videos, especially the videos meant for the new users who have migrated from Windows to Linux for the first time, or those who are migrated from other Linux distros to ArcoLinux. So phase 1, try out our flagship ArcoLinuxL. So you have to download the ArcoLinuxL ISO. So we will go and check the different ISOs are given. So we will go to that web page also in later and select. Okay, now let us again come back to this web page. Try out our flagship ArcoLinuxL and select an option that is best for your hardware at the boot time. Do not select anything yet in CalAmers. Okay, so there is a basic default CalAmers, so it will have the default settings already done by the developers. You have to just go and install the ArcoLinux just like you do in some other Linux distros. With freedom comes more complexity and the need for more knowledge. We can give you both. So in this default ArcoLinuxL ISO, there is no settings available for customization in the CalAmers installer. So XFCE4 is the default desktop, and there are amazing apps accompanying this desktop. Use your time to learn how to update and maintain your system. So after doing the first basic installation of ArcoLinux, you have to use the system for say 10 minutes, 10 days, 15 days, 1 month, till you are confident that you can update and maintain your system. Use the time to know how to install and remove application, learn the keyboard shortcuts, learn the aliases, learn about scale, get comfortable with the terminal, download the ArcoLinuxL ISO and do a clean install. Okay, so that completes the first phase. In the second phase, you have to choose your next desktop, because in the first phase we already used the XFCE4 desktop. So here for that you have to download ArcoLinux B ISO. and you can choose desktop like Mate, Gnome, Budgie, Cinnamon, Deepin and Plasma. And you can install software you have learned in phase 1 and move more from inside the Calendar. So in ArcoLinux B, the Calamars will give you more customization options. The customization options were 0 in phase 1 in the ArcoLinux L, that is the learner ISO, and the B is the intermediate, or you can say more advanced ISO. So here you get a customization options inside the Calamars installer. At this time, we do not recommend a tiling window managers. Okay, so all the desktops except the tiling window managers are available. And at this time, we do not recommend mixing desktops. So yes, you cannot mix the desktops. So you can not use multiple desktops or like things like that. So you have to use at least only one desktop out of the list given here. However, start learning the keyboard bindings that all the desktops have. We will need them in the TWM, that is the tiling window manager. Download an ArcoLinux B ISO with the desktop of your choice and do a clean install. Okay, so now you are on a learning curve that will be exponential. So you already pick up a lot things during the phase 2. Now comes the phase 3. Now look at other desktops and TWMs. Some of might be new to you, some will not make sense to you, some will be just too complex. So we can choose a desktop out of the CWM, WM3, IceWM, JWM, LXQT, OpenBox and UKUI. We choose a TWM like Awesome, BSP, WM, DWM, HLWM, i3, Qtile, Spectrum WM, XMonad. And the extended ISO also contains OpenBox and all the TWMs we have. So for the phase 3 learning, you have to choose a extended ISO, ArcoLinux extended ISO. So it will contain all the desktops mentioned in phase 2 plus the TWMs. So for that you have to use a ArcoLinux B ISO with the desktop TWM of your choice. So you have to do a clean install. So the extended ISOs are different. I will show you in the download page. Now, after you use the extended ISO for some time, say 1 month or something, still till you get a good grip on the system. Now, after you get a good grip, now you have to move over to the phase 4. In phase 4, you already have the notions of many desktops and TWMs. You can easily find your way into getting the setting manager or configs. It is time to make the things more complex. So in the phase 4, you have to use the ArcoLinux tweak tool and the Calamars installer to mix desktops and TWMs on the same PC. You will experience that some desktops will look off. You have to find the knowledge online to overcome that. So this completes the phase 4. You have to use the desktop that you have installed using the ArcoLinux tweak tool and Calamars, and then you have to use those mixed desktops and TWMs till you get a good grip on the same. Now after that you have to move over to phase 5. By now you have experimented with few desktops and or TWMs. You may want to stick to one particular desktop or you maybe a particular TWM. You can download the ArcoLinux B ISO of your choice or you can build the ISO yourself. At ArcoLinux, you can create your own personal ISO with all the packages pre-installed. How to do that? You have to check out this link. So here it is given all the data how to build an ISO for your own purpose. And after the ISO is built, you can use that to do a clean install. Now after doing the clean install, you have to use that desktop or TWM, and then you can go and use it till you get confident about the installation that you have done. After you get fully confident, you have to move over to the phase 6. The phase 6, you already know the application, services and settings that you require for each desktop or TWM. Installing and removing applications comes easy. Maintenance of maintenance of OS has no secret. So you already know all that is required to know, to be known about the operating system that you have installed on your system. Installing, removing applications is very easy, and you know the settings for application services and services for each desktop and the each of the TWM. Now you have to move on to the ArcoLinux D ISO. There are two options in the ArcoLinux D ISO. Install a bare version of ArcoLinux and run your scripts to install desktop applications and configs, which is the original purpose of ArcoLinux D. Second is use the CalMS options to install desktops and applications. And you have to do a clean install. In every phase you have to do a clean install. After the installation is done, you have to use the installation for some time till you get good confidence, and then you can move over to the phase 7. So after the phase 6 is completed, you are comfortable with the TTY, you have sufficient knowledge to administer your system in a terminal. You can install ArcoLinux in the Arch way. CalMS is not present, you are booting up in a blank screen. It is time to type every single command to get a working OS. Configs and settings are not present and need to be set by you. Download ArcoLinux ISO, do a clean install. So by the time you reach the phase 7, you are already a master of your system, of the ArcoLinux packages, the ArcoLinux ISO, and you can do the installation of ArcoLinux the ArcoLinux way. So here the CalMS is not present. There are no resolution settings. There are no configs and settings that are pre-installed or available by default. So now you have become the expert, Linux expert. So you can download the ArcoLinux ISO and do a clean install. Now, after you have done the clean installation in the phase 7, you are already an expert, and now it is time to move over to phase 8. By the time you reach phase 8, the user will feel very confident, and he will like to create a own distribution based on ArcoLinux. For that, we recommend you to visit https://arcolinuxiso.com for the Carly project. So Carly project we will see at the end. I am proposing to do a series on the ArcoLinux. So next, I think 5 or 6 videos at least will be on ArcoLinux. We will do check out the different versions of ISO available phase wise. So after this video, we will do the phase 1 installation of ArcoLinux or ArcoLinux, you can say, and then we will go to the phase 2, and then do installation as per the phase 2, then 3, 4 till we reach the phase 7, and phase 8 maybe after some time we will do the phase 8 also. So Carly stands for Customized ArcoLinux ISO. Here on the web, in the website or the web link, we have explained how to create a ISO, but also everything that is linked to the repositories, keys, builds, and CalMS. Follow the menu Carly and read and watch any tutorials from Carly 1 till the last one. See it as a binge watching. There is a lot of knowledge in there how to overcome any issue. You can only build the last Carly. So Carly 1, 2, 3, there is a different stages of Carly, but you have to use the last Carly available. Secondly, we recommend you to visit https://alci.online. ALCI stands for ArcoLinux CalMS installer. Here you can find a condensed list of articles and tutorials. Their only goal is to add CalMS to the ArcoLinux ISO. The website is a concise state of minimal requirements to create a ISO. Carly goes much further. So there is a video, you can watch this video. It is about ArcoLinux has a learning path. So what we have discussed today, it is given in this video. So you can watch this video also. Now let me check out what. Okay, Okay, now let us check out the pre-installation stage. So in pre-installation stage, there are three sources available to download the ArcoLinux ISOs. One is the source force, second is the seed host, and third is the torrents. Now ArcoLinux has four major editions. There is a flagship ArcoLinux, there is a ship ArcoLinux, there is a bare ArcoLinux, and the B ISOs are there. So in the flagship, it is XL, that is the extra large ISO is there. In the ship, there is XS or the X small ISO is there. So the ISO is small in size. There is a LTS kernel available. So the packaging size is small, and it is combined with the LTS kernel. In the bare ISO, you have to decide the desktop. In the B ISOs, you have to choose your desktop from the available options and then build your desktop. In the ArcoLinux XL ISO, it is a complete ISO. It will be full copy. So there will be most of the packages will be already present inside the ISO. There will be a default desktop, that is XFCE4 desktop. You can add any other desktop. It will be themed. Bluetooth printer network will be there. There will be lots of software, and you can have fun and enjoy. The size will be around 2.4 GB. It will be 64-bit ISO, and you can add more software from the software store after the installation is complete. So the ISO will consist of ArcoLinux core, videos, network, display manager, desktop environment, applications, conkeys, themes, icons, wallpapers, and other things. Now in the ship edition, you get a minimal package size. The default desktop is XFCE4. There will be one desktop, and you can add any more desktops. The system will be themed. There will be Bluetooth printer network. There will be no software. You can have fun and enjoy. There will be 1.7 GB of ISO. There will be 64 bits of ISO. So ISO will be 64 bit, not 32 bit. You can add more software. The ISO will consist of ArcoLinux core, video, network, display manager, desktop environment, applications, conkeys, themes, icons, wallpapers, and other things. Now we will go to the bare ISO. In the bare edition, you can decide the desktop. The desktop will be the ISO will be minimal. A desktop, there will be no default desktop here. You can add any desktop of your choice. There will be no themes. You can add the themes later. There will be no Bluetooth, no printer, no network. There is nothing. So you have to learn about how to install the Bluetooth, printers, networks, themes, desktop after the installation is complete. So I think this will be a headless installation. The size of the ISO will be around 1.4 GB. It will be a 64-bit ISO. 32-bit I think is not available. You can add more software. The ISO will contain ArcoLinux core, video, network. You can choose your display manager during the installation or either after the installation. So yeah, I think it will boot into headless or in terminal. You can build your own system on this Arch base. You have to start in terminal. Yes, so this will be a headless installation. Install everything with editable scripts or use the installer. So both options are available. You can use editable scripts or you can use the installer. Now let us go to the B ISOs. So the B ISO edition contains options to choose the desktop and build the desktop. So the ArcoLinux B ISOs are having minimal package size. You can choose your desktop. There will be one desktop by default, and you can add any other desktops. It will be themed. The Bluetooth printer network will be available. There will be minimal software availability. You can have fun and enjoy. The size of the USB will be around 1.6 to 1.9 GB ISO. There will be 64 bits ISO. 32 bits is I think is not available. You can add more software. The ISO will contain Arch Linux core, videos, network, display managers. You can choose the desktop environment, you can choose applications, you can choose the conky, you can choose the theme, you can choose the icons, you can build the ISO. And ArcoLinux B ISOs have minimal software. The ISOs come with Firefox, PAMAC Paru, Ye, USB creator, conkeys, ad blocker, ArcoLinux tools and settings. Tip: every ISO has a package list. You can check the package list to see the content of the ISO. Okay, so there will be a file, there will be a package list in each ISO. You can check out the content list or the file list to see the content of the ISO. So now let us go. Okay, this is for the Carly, this is the stage 8, so we will not go through this right now. So this web page contains ArcoLinux D version of ArcoLinux. This is the ArcoLinux B version or you can say edition of ArcoLinux, and this is the learning phrases that we have gone through. So friends, I will now close this web page and then we can go and try to install the basic one. So if we go in the phase 1, the basic ISO is the ArcoLinux L. So I have already downloaded the ArcoLinux L ISO, it is here. So what we will do is, we will do installation of ArcoLinux L with the default settings, and then there will be another option. So we will do the second installation with the second option. So let us start. We will open it with GNOME boxes. So it is based on Arch, so you can use the Arch Linux template. In resource allocation, you give 4 GB, and maximum disk size you can do 25. So we will use the first option. So we have now booted into XFCE desktop of ArcoLinux L ISO. So upon install, it is showing a message, a notification, upgraded scripts. So if you have any customized scripts for the variety, please see preferences and change log. Okay. So we will not going to use any customized scripts anyway. So now how to start the installation of ArcoLinux. So this is the live XFCE desktop that we are booted into. So first you have to update the Arch Linux mirror. So let us do that. It will take, I think, 1 minute or so. So this CalMS installer has two parts. So you can either go for the easy installation and you can go for the advanced installation. So in this video we will do the easy installation. and in the next video we will do the advanced installation. Now the ArcoLinux mirrors have been updated. Now it is turn off gparted, so we will run the gparted. So 23.44 GB of new VDD is available. So you have to go to this partition and no partition table is found. Okay, yes, now you go to the device, create a partition table. It is asking whether to do MS-DOS type or GPT, or there are some other options like AIX, Amiga, BSD, Mac, PC98, Sun, Atari Loop. So we will go with the GPT. Hit new and then select 8 MIB. Okay, free space preceding 8 MIB. New size will be, you have to put 8 MIB. Just a moment. Use this as unformatted and label as BIOS grub. So we are done. Now again select it, free space preceding, so put 1 MB. Here put 600 MIB. Put extended 4. You can use the label boot. Add. Then again you create a new partition with preceding free space 1 MB, 4000 MIB partition. Here select the Linux swap, add, and now finally the pending unallocated space, you can create a new boot partition. We will go with the extended 4 file system, and you can label this as system and then you can add it. Okay, now okay, 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 okay. Now we are done. Sorry, I did a wrong move. Extended 4 system. Okay, we are done. So let us check out. Okay, that is done. That is also done. To apply, okay, now what we have done is the formatting of partitioning and formatting work is done. Now you have to manage the flags only. So the swap partition will get the swap flag. Okay, it is already done. So it should get a boot flag, ESP and boot flag. So that is now done. The 8 GB unformatted space should get a BIOS grub flag. Now that is done. And finally, the root partition should get a root flag. Where is the root flag? Okay, it is not there, but I think it is okay. There should be the root flag, but it is not seen here. Okay, so I think we are done. What happened? Okay, I think okay, we are done. Now go and do apply all apply all pending operations. Close. So everything is done. Okay, we can quit now. The partitioning is done. Now we will go with the easy installation, and below you can see the release information. You can choose your project, the core info, fast track, some forum link is there. You can donate from here. You can get involved in the ArcoLinux project. You can debug from this link. You can directly go to YouTube and watch video on installation of ArcoLinux from here, and you can quit the installer altogether. So now we have completed the two stages, that is update ArcoLinux mirrors and run gparted. Now the third step is to do the easy installation. In the next video we will do the advanced installation. So let us start with the easy installation. So this opens up the CalAmers installer of the ArcoLinuxL ISO. So local is properly set. You have to now search India or Indian and then select English India with rupee. Okay, so we have already done the partitioning using the gparted, and here also the partitioning option is given. So what we can do is, to show you the both methods, I already show you the method of the gparted. Now we will use the erase disk method of CalAmers. So I will now select the erase disk method of CalAmers. So let it do the erasure of disk and do a partitioning as per the default set in the installer. So we select next. Choose your name, choose your good password, at least use a 8-character password with one capital or uppercase character and one special character. Use the same password for administrator account. That is not advisable. You should have a root administrator or root account different than the user account. So it adds a layer of security, but this is just a review. So I will go with the use the password for administrator account option. So this is showing the summary of what the installer will do henceforth. So it will create a MS-DOS partition on the virtual hard disk. It will create a 24 GB partition, root partition with file system extended 4. No, I think okay. It will flag the root partition as boot, okay, and install ArcoLinux on new extended 4 system partition and install bootloader on the hard disk, okay. So this being a MS-DOS partition, there will be only a boot section, and the next is your system partition. So there won't be any swap partition here, nor there will be any BIOS grub partition also, like the 8 MB partition we had done for the BIOS grub in GPT. So that partitions are not available here. Only two partitions. One is the MS.boot partition, and the second is the system partition. Now let us hit the install button. So it is asking for a reconfirmation. You have to click yes. Now the installation is going on. You have to just wait for the installer to complete. So we have completed the installation of ArcoLinux L ISO using the easy install method. So we will stop our video here. Before signing off, let us do a summary. We have seen the introduction of ArcoLinux. So we have gone through the different web pages of the ArcoLinux website. We have learned about the different phases of the learning curve required to be learned by user when he chooses ArcoLinux as his distro of choice. And then we did an installation of ArcoLinux L ISO using the easy install method. So we will stop our video here, and in the next video we will do a detailed review of the ArcoLinux L desktop, which was installed using the ArcoLinux L ISO using the easy install method. So thank you for being with us during the course of this video. Keep connected. Do share, like, and subscribe to our videos. Do not forget to press the bell button, otherwise you will miss our videos. Thank you. Bye bye.